Hi people, good evening. I think there was some technical glitch, but it has been resolved. So let's start with the class. So this was the last topic that we have spoken about in yesterday's lecture. So the topic was with respect to dominant caste. Actually, the thing that we have to focus upon is that why dominant caste is demanding reservation under OBC list despite being dominant. So here the question that has arisen is that whether inclusion of dominant section under OBC list is going to resolve the labor market problem that they are confronting. Okay? So write down a question and then we'll start. Write down a question. To what extent inclusion of dominant caste to what extent inclusion of dominant caste in the OBC list is the solution to the challenges they are facing in the job market. To what extent it is the solution to the challenges they are facing in the job market. Comment. Is that very clear for everyone? Okay. So keeping in mind, okay, this is another piece of advice that whenever you are preparing any topic, okay, sometimes the topics can be very comprehensive. So in order to streamline your preparation, this is what I did, when society was introduced, and obviously, although we had the background of sociology, we've been studying sociology, but when Indian society as a topic, as a separate section was introduced, so at that point of time, obviously we were thinking that, we did not have any reference point, koi previous year question papers nahi the, kuch nahi tha. 2013 was the first time it was introduced. So that time what we did was, we actually looking at every topic, and then when we bifurcated, we thought that from this particular topic, what kind of question can be framed. And keeping in mind the kind of questions that can be framed from a particular topic, we started preparing the content. So same goes here, that if you are studying a particular context, then what you can keep in mind is that what kind of question can be asked from this particular area. So similarly, to what extent inclusion of dominant caste in the OBC list is going to resolve the problem that they are facing in the job market. Obviously, it is perceived that once the reservation benefits are being provided, you still get certain advantage and whether accessing the labor market opportunity. At least that is what is the large perception which is existing. That's one side of the story. The real or the practical side of the story is that what are the challenges with respect to even inclusion of these dominant caste people in the OBC list. In the reserved list. So one, you have understood dominant caste हुए कौन? They were the one who were basically agricultural community whose position got consolidated because of land reforms and green revolution. They did not reap much the opportunities, the educational opportunities which were being offered, because anyway these were the landed caste, and because of the importance of the value of land which has significantly increased because of land reforms and green revolution, they did not find it even necessary to seek education. They were the one who have socially, politically and economically dominated their particular regions respectively. However, in the current scenario, their dominance is dwindling. Their dominance is dwindling. Why? Because agriculture has come under distress. There is lack of alternative employment opportunity. Most importantly, with increased globalization, consumerism, urbanization, there is emergence of obsession with city life, because city life is taken synonymous to the progressive life. And most importantly, certain section, there are problems of skewed sex ratio. So it is generating a feeling of relative deprivation. You might not be actually deprived. There might not be real deprivation, but you are feeling relatively deprived, both with respect to lower as well as the upper caste. Lower caste because they believe they cannot compete with the lower caste in government jobs due to lack of reservation, and they believe they cannot compete with the upper caste in the private jobs due to lack of specialized or higher education. So in that context, dominant caste is demanding a reservation under OBC list so that the economic challenges that they are confronting in the contemporary scenario can be addressed. Is that very clear? However, there are certain challenges which one needs to talk about. The challenge that they are facing is can we say this? Globalization, the associated economic essence is capitalism, the ideology, the economic ideology. Capitalism is based on the principle of profit maximization. So when you have to maximize your profit, your intention is to minimize the cost of production. Now, if I keep all other variables constant, all other factors constant, so in order to minimize the cost of production, you will try to minimize or reduce the wages. And for that, you will attempt to outsource the job or contract out the job. So even in the government sector also, there is a new trend which is emerging for past few years, and that is outsourcing of the jobs or contracting out of the job so as to reduce the burden of the wages and the incentives which are given to the permanent employees. In fact, according to Indian Staffing Federation, 44% of the government employees are in contractual nature of jobs. Is that very clear for everyone out there? So the question that we had was that to what extent inclusion of dominant caste in the OBC list is the solution to the challenges that they are facing in the job market. To what extent inclusion of the dominant caste in the OBC list is the solution to the challenges they are facing in the job market. Not only this, since the ideology is based on so it is perceived that any further reservation without any increase in the overall job opportunities will only aggravate competition. It might not provide the ultimate solutions to the problem. It might or it will only aggravate the problems which an individual is facing in the labor market. Is this clear? So ideology is based on minimum government and maximum governance, which has resulted into shrinking of jobs, especially Group C, Group D jobs. So, in the absence of any increase in the government jobs, any further reservation opportunities would only aggravate the competition. Hence, what should be done? Overall, what needs to be done? For example, जो अभी हमने बात करी थी, culture of self-employment, making agriculture lucrative, यही हमने बात करी थी. Changing the perception or perception management of the youth. Perception management of the youth. Is this clear for everyone? Can we proceed? The next topic that we have to talk about is Dalit capitalism. The next topic that we are supposed to discuss is Dalit capitalism. So here it is about who are Dalits. हाँ Mitali, so we never know na that when the current government will go. So that totally depends. That's what I said in the conclusion, that In the absence of creating vacancies in the government jobs, any further reservation is not going to resolve your labor market problem. That is why the conclusion was given so specifically. Is this very clear? Okay. Obviously, any scheme, any idea, everything is respected to a current government, whichever government it is. If the government undergoes a change, their policies undergoes a change, their approach towards the social problems undergoes a change. So our perspective to look at those problems will also change. Is that clear? Okay. So the first thing is, who are Dalit? So the term Dalit was used for the first time by Jyotirao Phule. Dalit refers to the class of socially marginalized who are also economically deprived. In this context, what is Dalit capitalism? The term Dalit capitalism is coined by a social activist Chandra Bhan Prasad. A social activist Chandra Bhan Prasad. The term Dalit capitalism says, when capitalism is seen as a solution to emancipation of Dalits, that is Dalit capitalism. Emancipation means liberation, freedom. So when capitalism is seen as a solution to emancipation of Dalit, that is Dalit capitalism. In simple words, entrepreneurship among Dalits is nothing but Dalit capitalism. Entrepreneurship among Dalit is nothing but Dalit capitalism. So when capitalism is perceived or seeked as a solution for upliftment and emancipation of Dalits, it is referred as Dalit capitalism. Is this clear? Now, whenever you are preparing a topic, this is how or what I exactly mean. Dalit capitalism. Who are Dalit? What is Dalit capitalism? Is it the panacea for all the Dalit problems? Do you think with propagation, promotion of Dalit capitalism, we would be able to ensure the resolution to all the problems confronted by Dalit? So if I have to do the analysis of the concept of Dalit capitalism, so it definitely creates the opportunity for economic empowerment of Dalit. It also promotes In fact, government also knows that Dalit capitalism is a progressive concept and it needs to be further developed. And that is why the government is also taking proactively various measures to further develop the culture of Dalit capitalism. For example, if you remember, the government steps की अगर हम बात करें, हमने कल बात करी थी ना, दलित इंडियन चैम्बर ऑफ कॉमर्स एंड इंडस्ट्री, National Scheduled Caste Finance and Development Corporation. If you have heard of a scheme, Stand Up India, that is basically to promote self-employment among SC, ST and women. However, it is only one side of the story. It does create the opportunity for economic empowerment. It is actually cultivating the culture of self-employment, which is enabling to transform. This is transform youth from job seeker to job giver. And in fact, the government also recognized the potential benefits of Dalit capitalism, and that is why they have also taken proactive measures to further facilitate Dalit capitalism. But then you need to realize that Dalit capitalism might be a necessary condition for empowerment of Dalit, but not sufficient. Maths पढ़ी है ना, if and only if करते हैं ना. So it might be a necessary condition but not sufficient. So one of the steps for ensuring Dalit emancipation, empowerment can be Dalit capitalism. But then it is not sufficient. You need to bring about more developments. You need to bring about more interventions, specifically the attitudinal intervention. Otherwise, in itself or alone, Dalit capitalism would not be able to ensure or will not act as a panacea for the Dalit problems. Is this very clear till here? First and foremost, capitalism in itself is inherently an exploitative concept. Capitalism is based on the principles of profit maximization, where maximum people are working to produce the goods. However, the profit is usurped by only few elites. So Dalit capitalism, although will create the opportunity for empowerment, economic growth, mobility, however, those benefits would only be limited to few elites within the Dalit community, which will further aggravate the intra-caste inequalities. Is that very clear for everyone? Most importantly, Dalit capitalism is providing income opportunities to Dalit, but it is not focusing on the social mindset or the prejudice which exist in the society. As a result, Dalit entrepreneurs will suffer biasness or prejudices at different levels. For example, at the level of administration, at the level of political intervention, at the level of credit, financing, at the level of social interaction, etc. आप दलित entrepreneur create कर रहे हो, but you are not realizing that in our society the basic problem which is confronted by Dalit is the prejudiced and biased attitude of others towards them. The problem is with respect to the social acceptance. The problem is with respect to social justice. Problem is with respect to self-respect of the Dalit people. So that gets negatively impacted. Is that clear? And most importantly, also, in order to succeed with respect to entrepreneurship, you require good amount of education and skills. But because of rigid caste system, there is limited presence of skill development among Dalit youth. So anyway, they would not be able to reap benefits of Dalit capitalism. Due to limited access to good qualitative higher technical education, limited presence of skill development among the Dalit youth, because of the inherent rigidity in the caste system, the impact of Dalit capitalism would not be very significant. Last but not the least, the last point that we can write is Dalit capitalism does not focus on the poorest of poor Dalits, whom or for whom the struggle is with respect to land alienation, violence, self-respect, dignity of life. और इतना ब्रॉड हम इसलिए डिस्कस कर रहे हैं क्योंकि हमने ये पूछा कि इज इट अ पेनेशिया फॉर ऑल द दलित प्रॉब्लम्स? नो, इट इज नॉट. It is creating one of the opportunity, no doubt about it. It is cultivating the culture of self-employment, no doubt. You are becoming a job giver. It is providing you a better status in the society. Absolutely no doubt about it. However, the impact is very limited. First of all, Dalit themselves do not have enough education and skills so that they can reap the benefits of Dalit capitalism. Even if some are able to reap the benefits, they are handful of them, which will further aggravate the inequalities, which will further fracture the Dalit identity. Most importantly, it is nowhere talking about changing the social mindset, and just providing the infrastructure for entrepreneurship does not guarantee success with respect to entrepreneurship. The social acceptance, attitude, mindset, value system needs to be targeted. So in silo, it would not be that impactful. However, if together if together it is combined with the value system, then definitely it would bring about significant changes. Is that clear? Now, with this, Dalit capitalism comes to an end. We just have to talk about one last topic, that is increased incidences of violence among Dalit. You have 5 minutes. Tell me, what are the reasons why violence against Dalit is on the rise? There have been various legal provisions. You have 5 minutes. Give me the answer. This is the last topic as far as caste system is concerned. वो तो है ही वैभव. That is what the problem is. In fact, thankfully this time, to be very honest, National Education Policy is a wonderful document. I am just only hoping this time very sincerely that it gets implemented properly. So it is high time that you need to understand that just by creating opportunities at the top, you are not creating a sound foundation, and that is what the problem is. We have a tendency, एक ऐसे भी पूछा था, giving a dole or lending a hand. We have a tendency to give them fish, any people, instead of telling them how to fish. So just by providing a cash assistance or a subsidy or a subsidized credit or opportunities for setting up a startup or something, but if you don't inculcate the temperament, if you don't inculcate the education, skills, technical training, regular upgradation of training, how do you expect them to succeed in that very project or in that very endeavor? So absolutely. Resentment among upper caste because laws are favoring Dalits. Acha, theek hai. Politicization, inferior image, not much economically empowered. Makes sense. Makes sense. Anything else? Increase in violence against Dalit. Introduction. Dalits have been the victims of caste system for centuries. They are subjected to various forms of discrimination. For example, caste slur, violence, rape, murder, etc. Linking statement. There have been various laws to address the menace. For example, Prevention of Atrocity Act 1989. Despite these legal provisions, violence against Dalit is still on the rise. I hope the first part is clear. I was just trying this tool. Can I record if I write something? So yeah, it is working for us. Just a sec. So the body. Reasons why the violence against Dalit is still on the rise despite the legal provisions. The first, underestimation of data. We have gross underestimation of data. Why? Because casteist, prejudiced attitude exists even among the law enforcement stakeholders. For example, police. So one of the such incidences is that how police is reluctant to register the complaints with respect to violence against lower caste, because of which there is gross underestimation of data. However, the reality is, according to National Crime Record Bureau, violence against Dalit is at the level or as the extent of there is a crime against Dalit in every 10 minutes. In 2020, as compared to 2019, there has been increase in violence against Dalit by 9.4%. Is that very clear? Is it making sense? Oh, let me, I will put it again. मैं सिर्फ एक chronology establish कर रही थी. I will just discuss the question and I'll give you time to write down. Don't worry about that. So I am just discussing the answer and then I'll give you the time to jot it down. So the first point is underestimation of data. इतना लिख लो, वो first slide हम दोबारा मैं आपको दिखा दूंगी. मैं खुद भी देख रही थी कि ये टूल वर्क कर रहा है कि नहीं कर रहा है. ये कर रहा है. So this is how we can save time. At least for the question answers, I was thinking कि क्या मैं खुद से आंसर लिखकर फिर आपको recorded दिखा सकती हूँ, तो वो वर्क कर रहा है. So you are the first class on whom I'm trying this tool. So yeah, it's working. So let's see. Underestimation of data. So the first point I've written, and I think somebody wrote, Paras I think wrote कि उसका चश्मे का number बढ़ जाएगा. Paras, I'll read it out for you. Police is reluctant to register complaints because of the prejudiced attitude. Right? Second point, because of which there is gross underestimation of data. However, the reality is that according to NCRB, that is National Crime Record Bureau, violence against Dalit is of the extent that there is a crime in every 10 minutes. There is a crime in every 10 minutes. In 2020, as compared to 2019, there has been an increase in violence against Dalit by 9.4%. और ये वो है जो registered cases हैं. सोचो कितने ऐसे होंगे जो unregistered है. ठीक है? Second point, why despite those laws, the violence against Dalit is still on the rise is there is lack of deterrence. The conviction rate is low. लॉ का हम क्या करेंगे अगर पनिशमेंट ही नहीं मिल रही है? बिल्कुल कृतिका, एब्सोल्युटली यू कैन राइट, एब्सोल्युटली. कृतिका, हैव आई डिस्कस्ड कल्चरल लैग? नहीं. Yes, you can absolutely write. Or in fact, if you don't want to use the term cultural lag, Kritika, you can write lack of internalization of laws by the society. Matlab, the law has been made, but you have not accepted the law. So that is why you are not abiding by the laws. So you can write lack of internalization of laws by the society. Okay? Okay, low conviction rate. According to NCRB, out of 50,291 cases, only 216 cases resulted in conviction. And 3,000, more than 3,000 were acquitted. और बाकी का तो अभी judgment ही नहीं आया. Is that clear? So out of 50,000, 291 cases, only 216 cases resulted in conviction according to NCRB. So conviction rate is low. यहाँ पर एक बात बताती हूँ. There is a quotation, there is a saying which says, it is not the severity of the law, but the certainty of the law which acts as a deterrent factor. लिख लो, रफ में लिखो, ये काम आएगा. It is not the severity of the law, but it is not the severity of the law, but the certainty of the law which acts as a deterrent factor. Which acts as a deterrent factor. ठीक है, तो जब कन्विक्शन रेट लो है, पेंडेंसी ऑफ केसेस ज्यादा है, तो डर ही नहीं है. अदरवाइज प्रिवेंशन ऑफ अट्रॉसिटी एक्ट इज अ वेरी स्ट्रिंजेंट एक्ट, बट डिस्पाइट सच अ स्ट्रिंजेंट एक्ट देयर इज नो फियर बिफोर कमिटिंग वायलेंस अगेंस्ट दलित. द रीजन इज देयर इज नो सर्टेनिटी दैट द लॉ वुड बी इंप्लीमेंटेड. तो कोई फियर नहीं है. देन societal resistance to mobility, which most of you have answered. Improvement in educational, economic, political status of Dalit. It acts, or it is being perceived as a threat to their hegemony by the upper caste rather than being perceived as an achievement of parliamentary democracy. So rather than seeing that any kind of upward mobility with respect to economic status, social status, political status of the Dalit, it should be seen as a victory for the democratic nation. So rather than perceiving it as an achievement of a democratic nation, it is seen as a direct threat to the hegemony of upper caste. Threat to the hegemony of upper caste. हाँ अभिषेक, absolutely, absolutely अभिषेक, yes, yes. बच्चे, लेकिन एक बात हमेशा याद रखना, थैंकफुली तुमने व्हाट अभिषेक हैज रिटन ऑन द रिस्पॉन्स पोर्टल इज कि मैम देयर इज अ पॉसिबिलिटी ऑफ फ्यू फॉल्स केसेस. एब्सोल्युटली आई अग्री टू दिस. अब सुनो इसके पीछे की कहानी. क्या होता है कि कभी कभी these false cases are launched, and they are not only launched by these SC/ST community but also women also. The Supreme Court has used a term. There was a time, I think 3 years back, there was a time when Supreme Court in one of their judgment talked about emergence of new legal terrorism. New, naya, legal terrorism, in which Supreme Court observed that these stringent laws have been misused by certain sections. For example, women, for example, Dalit. It was being said that Domestic Violence Act, Section 498A of IPC and Prevention of Atrocity Act against SC/ST has been misused also. That is why Supreme Court suggested that these laws needs to be diluted. And that time they did dilute it also. ठीक है, तो गवर्नमेंट had diluted, amendment आया था, and Prevention of Atrocity Act and your Section 498A of IPC, इसे dilute किया गया था. लेकिन इतना प्रेशर क्रिएट हो गया था और 2019 के इलेक्शंस थे, इसलिए the government had no other choice but to reverse the dilution. However, it has been said that going by the statistics, there are handful of people who are misusing the provisions. So instead of diluting the act, the better alternative is to create a robust mechanism to ensure that they have not been misused. Is that very clear? However, Abhishek, answering your question, the cases are very few, so one can avoid that. Avoid as in not avoid, I'm sorry, avoid would not be the right word. One can work on preventing the misuse of these acts, but in no way one should underestimate the data which is being provided, because ये वो data है जो already underestimated है. हो सकता है 10%, जैसे एनसीआरबी ने बोला भी था कि 10% ऑफ द केसेस में विमेन ने मिसयूज करा है, बट 90% ऑफ द केसेस में विमेन आर द विक्टिम ऑफ द वायलेंस. Absolutely, Kritika. Yes. Is this clear? Societal resistance, improvement in education, economic, political status, instead of being perceived as achievement of democracy, direct threat to the hegemony of upper caste. Then lack of unity. What I mean by lack of unity is there is a scholar who has talked or who has highlighted this, that among the Dalit community, there is lack of unity. Why? Because within Dalit also, there is division on subcaste lines, right? So basically, they do not have a common parameter on which they are raising their voice. Dalit identity today's time has become fractured. I told you, na, class within caste, Dalit capitalism. So all of this is leading to fracturing of Dalit identity. So because of emergence of subcaste division within Dalit community, there is lack of unity. इसलिए भी the deterrence, their bargaining power has declined, their power to organize themselves has declined. So the other people don't fear these laws anymore. Is that very clear? Most importantly, even if you look at the composition of Dalit, ठीक है, so within any village, let us say, the composition of Dalit is less as compared to the dominant section, ठीक है, so they don't have the strength to confront those who are discriminating against them. That's one thing. And second thing, in many areas, whether rural or urban, these Dalit communities are dependent on the dominant section of the society for their livelihood. So there is a fear before retaliating. In fact, they accept it as to be given, or maybe, remember, divine intervention. That is why they agree or they do not raise their voice against the violence which is being done to them. Is that clear? What is written after achievement of democracy, yaar? Democracy. Social resistance to mobility. Beta, social resistance का मतलब हुआ रेहान, resistance by the society against the mobility, upward mobility, मतलब movement of the Dalit with respect to secular hierarchy. अब तो ये सारे words अजीब नहीं लगते हैं ना? अब तो समझ आता है ना secular hierarchy क्या हुआ? This is written dependent on upper caste for their livelihood. That is why they fear going against them. यार एससी नाम ही दिया गया है ना इस कैटेगरी को, एसटी अलग हो जाते हैं. एब्सोल्युटली सेजल, एक्सेप्टेंस है, तभी तो संस्कृताइजेशन करते हैं, बिकॉज दे एक्सेप्ट द सुपीरियर स्टेटस ऑफ द अपर कास्ट. दैट इज वाई दे गो फॉर संस्कृताइजेशन. They consider themselves to be inferior to the upper caste, and it's not their problem. That is how they have been socialized. तभी तो जब educated Dalit अपने आप को assert करते हैं, अपने rights को claim करते हैं, that is why they are subjected to violence. Because then the upper caste or the dominant section of the society feels that their hegemony is getting threatened. Is that clear? There are some more points which can be written. For example, systemic issues. Laws are also undermined by the systemic problem. One was the social problem, which we have already discussed. There is lack of, अरे अभी भी नहीं लिखा था. लिखो अब. Write down. Guys, once you've written, please let me know. Done? Systemic issues. Laws are undermined both by social and systemic problems. Systemic problem, for example, delay in court judgment. Delay in court judgment, and also with respect to the process, that is with respect to investigation, hearing, appeal. The Dalits are further subjected to various kind of mental, economic, social hardship. So that is why they are not very interested in filing the complaint also. हाँ, intro दिखाती हूँ बच्चे, दिखाती हूँ. So along with these issues, there is another issue, that is systemic issue. Systemic issues मतलब जैसे pendency of cases हैं, delay in court judgment है, या फिर further they have to suffer from various kind of mental, economic, social hardship while going through the entire process of seeking justice. So at the stage of investigation, at the stage of hearing, at the stage of appeal, at all these stages, they are further subjected to various kind of mental, economic and social hardship. If any statistical data is supposed to be given in order to substantiate the argument, so in context of Bihar, it was found that out of 49,000 cases which went for trial, एक second guys, एक minute बस. Out of 49,000 cases which went for trial, only 55 cases were disposed, leaving 99.9% cases pending. This is the extent of pendency of cases, and that is why also they are not interested in filing the complaint. Is that very clear? Till here the points are clear. इतना लिखो फिर बात करते हैं. ठीक है, written. Now there is one point which just struck me, जो मैंने नहीं लिखा. हम I was telling you ना, Sanskritization करते हैं because they want to improve their ritual status in the society. Remember we have talked about Sanskritization, blind emulation of culture of upper caste by the lower caste to improve their ritual status in the society. Now when the lower caste is trying to Sanskritize, the upper caste is trying to restrict this process or prohibit them from Sanskritization. How they are doing it? Have you ever seen, there were a lot of incidences. अब जैसे राजस्थान में एक इंसिडेंट हुआ था, कई बार हो चुके हैं ऐसे इंसिडेंसेस, आपने न्यूज़पेपर में देखे होंगे कि there was a Dalit groom who wanted to do that घुड़सवारी का रस्म, ride the horse during that barat. So that is, and because he tried to do that घुड़सवारी rasam, he was being beaten by the upper caste people because they believe that ये घुड़सवारी करना is a rasam of, or is a custom of the upper caste which should not be emulated by the lower caste. So it is also what has resulted into increased violence against women, violence against Dalit. It is the retaliation by the upper caste against the process of Sanskritization by the lower caste. लिख लो एक लाइन में. एक लास्ट पॉइंट लिखो, वो मुझे अभी ना बोलते बोलते याद आ गया कि ये पॉइंट लिख सकते. लिखो एक लास्ट पॉइंट. One more reason. It is the retaliation. It is the retaliation. See, it's bound to happen. It is the retaliation by the upper caste against Vaibhav, I'm just coming to your point, बच्चे. एक बार ये लाइन लिखो तो. It is the retaliation by the upper caste against the practice of Sanskritization by the lower caste. The practice of Sanskritization by the lower caste. For example, in context of Rajasthan, Dalit groom was beaten because he was performing that ghur savari rasam, riding the horse. तो घुड़सवारी रस्म, घुड़सवारी रस्म, ठीक है, देख लेना। हाँ, राइडिंग दी हॉर्स बेसिकली ड्यूरिंग दैट बारात थिंग। हाँ हाँ वैभव, एब्सोल्युटली करेक्ट पॉइंट है। मैं एक्चुअली इसलिए बोल रही थी, जस्ट गिव मी 1 मिनट, आई वाज थिंकिंग अबाउट कि कोई स्कॉलर का नाम बताऊं क्या मैं तुमको इस पॉइंट के लिए, मुझे ना एकदम स्ट्राइक नहीं करा है, बट या जस्ट गिव मी 1 मिनट। हु सेड दिस, ये लाइन बोली है दैट इंडिया में द पीपल टेक प्राइड in deriving their identity from the primordial basis, as in religion, caste, ethnicity, rather than the nation at large. Rather than associating with constitution, they take pride in resorting to their identity based on religion, caste, ethnicity, and that is why they are more interested, eager, curious to perform the customs or according to their religion, or according to their scriptures, or according to their traditional practices, rather than abiding by the constitutional laws. Is that very clear? Is it clear? अब लिखो, जिसने नहीं लिखा है जल्दी से लिखो, फिर मैं आगे बढ़ूं। एक दो डेटा लिख लो, राइट डाउन। According to Indian Human Development Survey, according to Indian Human Development Survey, according to Indian Human Development Survey, upward income mobility among Dalit, upward income mobility, mobility यानी movement, upward income mobility among Dalit is higher than other social groups, is higher than other social groups, is higher than other social groups. क्लियर है? कंक्लूजन देखो जल्दी से। According to Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, caste-based conflict is inevitable as long as caste system is persisting. That is why he called for religious conversion, that is by embracing Buddhism or intercaste marriage or seeking political power, which was a means to achieve the goals of social justice. ये goals लिखना था यहाँ पर, ठीक है। आप कुछ और conclusion भी लिख सकते हो, totally your choice, totally your choice. इज दिस क्लियर फॉर एवरीवन? किसी ने मुझसे पूछा था मैम इंट्रोडक्शन रह गया है, कुछ नहीं करना है इंट्रोडक्शन में, बस आपको एक लाइन में बताना है दैट हाउ दलित्स हैव बीन सब्जेक्टेड टू वेरियस काइंड ऑफ वायलेंस बिकॉज ऑफ द डिस्क्रिमिनेटरी नेचर ऑफ द कास्ट सिस्टम। फिर लिंकिंग पैराग्राफ में लिखना था, लिंकिंग स्टेटमेंट में, दैट देयर हैव बीन लॉज इन ऑर्डर टू प्रोटेक्ट द दलित्स अगेंस्ट एनी वायलेंस, फॉर एग्जाम्पल प्रिवेंशन ऑफ अट्रॉसिटी एक्ट। फिर आप बॉडी की शुरुआत करोगे कह के कि डिस्पाइट दीज लीगल प्रोविजंस द वायलेंस अगेंस्ट दलित इज स्टिल ऑन राइज, और उसके बाद हमने पॉइंट्स लिख लिए। इज दैट वेरी क्लियर फॉर एवरीवन? कैन वी प्रोसीड नाउ? ये गोल्स है लास्ट में। वंस यू आर डन प्लीज लेट मी नो। Guys, once you're done, please let me know. हाँ, याद आ गया मुझे वैभव. Paul Brass said that Indians take pride in associating their identity from ethnicity, from culture, rather than associating themselves with the constitutional laws, nation as a whole. Can we proceed, guys? So it was a 10 marker question. I hope you will be able to answer this question now. On the similar lines, UPSC asked a question that despite various legal provisions, violence against women is on the rise. Remember? और आप एक और conclusion लिख सकते थे. Remember, yesterday I told you law determines the direction in which society moves, but it is the culture which determines the direction in which society actually moves. So despite those laws, violence against Dalit is on the rise because those laws have not been internalized by the society. The culture is still driven by the casteist rigidities. Is that very clear for everyone? So that can also be the conclusion. Totally your choice how you intend to conclude the answer. We are starting with a fresh topic, that is women. The next topic that we are starting with is the women issues. So we have already discussed family, we have discussed caste. Within caste, only one thing I have not discussed with you, and that is Dalit movement. ठीक है ना, वो भी I'll discuss with you in post independence. And in case there happens some current development with respect to caste system, so either that would be covered in your polity current affair classes or society social issues current affair classes, so you don't need to worry about that. Now comes the topic women issues. Now with respect to women issues, first I've written gender, its manifestation, individual, cultural, structural, impact of gender stereotyping on social status of women. Then patriarchy, concept of patriarchy, structures of patriarchy. Within that, family, knowledge system, symbolism, religion, caste, etc. Then patriarchy vis-a-vis work, statistics, sectors, agriculture, industry, service, informal sector, issues, low female labor force participation, unpaid work, wage gap, sexual harassment, etc. इतना लिख लो तो बता देना. In the same flowchart, एक point और add होगा, that is violence against women. One more topic that we will take along with the women issues, that is violence against women, statistics, causes, implication, manifestation, domestic violence issue हो गया, dowry हो गया, sexual harassment हो गया, government efforts, lacunas, way forward. फिर टॉपिक्स जैसे ट्रैफिकिंग वगैरह है वो आप करंट अफेयर्स में पढ़ते हो, तो वो हम वहां कवर कर लेंगे. सो दिस प्लस दिस इज हाउ इट लुक्स लाइक. Let's start. The first topic is gender. See, sex is a biological concept. Gender is a social concept. Biologically, men are, just one disclaimer, transgender I have not included here. I'll discuss it separately. So the point here is that biologically, Men and women are different. But when that biological difference is manifested in a social setup that is based on your biological differences, when you have different access to social resources, then it is known as a social concept, that is gender. Is that very clear? So write down the definition. Gender is defined as or is referred as socially constructed aspects of differences between men and women. Gender is defined as or referred to socially constructed aspects of differences between men and women. When the differences between men and women goes beyond the biological understanding and they are socially constructed, then it is referred as gender. It has three manifestations to itself. At individual level, for example, male and female. We have created a separate social identity. Male, female, separate social identity. So the manifestation of gender at individual level. Not only you have created a separate social identity, there exists difference at cultural level. What I mean by this is the difference with respect to value system, the difference with respect to goals, difference with respect to behavior, difference with respect to aspirations, difference with respect to their conduct, way of life, is the cultural manifestation of gender. For example, the culture of masculinity and femininity. This is nothing but a social construct. You expect your boys to be dominating. You expect your boys to be aggressive. You expect your boys to lead, right? However, you expect your girls to be subtle, docile, naive. They should not be opinionated, right? So there is a difference with respect to the value system, the restrictions on their behavior, their aspirations also. The boy is expected to be an engineer or a CA or something like that, right? Whereas the girls are largely confined to the humanity area, and even if they are pursuing a technical profession, then it has to be the medical field and not the engineering field. And many of the engineers would relate to it. You would not find girls in your classroom, right? Especially the specific fields in engineering. So the point here is your value system, your goals, your behavior, your aspiration, your attitude, everything now is being determined by the gender to which you belong. Is that clear? So that is nothing but the culture of masculinity and femininity. Now, another manifestation of gender which is existing at the structural level, and that is sexual division of labor. The work is also divided on the basis of your sex. It is assumed that if you belong to certain sex, you cannot perform certain work. So the sexual division of labor is also done on the basis of your sex. So when the differences between men and women are socially constructed, then it is referred as gender, which has three manifestations: at individual level with respect to your identity, at cultural level with respect to notions of masculinity and femininity, at structural level with respect to sexual division of labor, when the work is divided on the basis of sex. For example, it is assumed that women is supposed to perform the care work. So they are confined to the domestic space, whereas the men in the family has to be the breadwinner. So his arena of work is the public space. Is that very clear? So there is clear-cut sexual division of labor in the society based on gender. Okay. Next is impact of gender stereotyping on the social status of women. There exist certain gender stereotypes in our society which has negatively impacted women in the social context. Write down these stereotypes, I'll explain everything. Women by very nature are caring and nurturing. Second, they possess soft skills. Women are emotional, hence incapable of rational decisions. They are weak, passive and dependent. Now, since women are perceived to be caring and nurturing, there exists domestic division of labor, because of which clear cut the work is divided. Private space is the arena for women, the public space is the arena for men. And within domestic space also, the care work, the household responsibilities is entirely on women. In fact, even if the men are contributing something in the domestic work, it is very minimum, or it is limited. For example, it is found, according to the survey, 91.8% women are performing the unpaid care work within the household or unpaid domestic work. Whereas on the other hand, it is only 20% of the male who are performing the unpaid domestic work. So clear-cut domestic division of labor is existing because there exists a stereotype where you assume that women by very nature are caring and nurturing. So it is very natural for women to take care of the domestic household. So the survey says 91.8% women perform the unpaid domestic work. Whereas on the other hand, it is only 20% of the male who are performing the unpaid domestic work. So clear cut, the stereotype has negatively impacted the social status of women in the society. Not only that, we assume that women possess soft skills. That is, they have the ability to interact effectively and harmoniously with other people, because of which the women are confined in certain jobs. They are known as pink-collared jobs. So there are certain jobs in the market which are typically reserved for women. For example, primary school teacher. For example, nurse. For example, receptionist, secretary. All of these jobs are typically reserved for women in the society. Why? Because there is a stereotype that women possess soft skills, which has resulted into confinement of women in certain sector of jobs, and those jobs are known as pink-collared jobs. Is that very clear? You can use these terms without defining. It is evident that the person who's correcting knows what is domestic division of labor. They know what is pink-collared jobs. Then it is believed that women are emotional and hence they are incapable of making rational decisions. As a result, in many of the organizations, women are not promoted beyond a certain level. And that concept is known as glass ceiling. I'll explain what is glass ceiling. It is said there exists a transparent ceiling in every organization beyond which the women is not promoted. So even if the women is working in any organization, they are confined to the lower rung or the middle rung of the jobs, and primarily in the lower rung of the jobs. They are not promoted at the higher decision making bodies because it is perceived that they are emotional and incapable of rational decision making. Who says children like female teachers at primary level? That is how it is being created. That is what the stereotype is. That we believe that women is very caring, very nurturing. They are very good at handling kids. Stereotype है. और कभी कभी तो women को खुद को ये believe कराया जाता है that this is how you are. Trust me, it is imposed by the society. I'll give you a personal example. You will not relate to it, but you can just listen to it, just to explain. But don't judge me. I'm giving you a personal example, but don't judge me. Okay? So the point here was when I was pregnant and I delivered my kid, so it was cesarean, right? So I was in pain. Okay? So then my relatives were calling me up and they were asking, how is the feeling and everything. To be very honest, I was not feeling anything because I was genuinely in a lot of pain. Right? I was not feeling anything and I was actually crying because I was in too much of pain. Don't get scared. Every individual has their own experiences. This was my experience. So my relatives were telling me, I know this might be painful, but the moment you look at your child's face, every pain goes away. This is the power of motherhood. To be very honest, I really don't know, but I was not feeling that. I was genuinely feeling only one thing, and that was pain. Even looking at my kid, I was not getting that aspect. मैं बहुत कोशिश भी कर रही थी, पर ऊपर से I was not able to sleep because he was all the time crying and I was not able to sleep and I was in pain, and every other person was coming up and telling me that Smriti, this is the best thing about motherhood. This is such a beautiful feeling. मुझे वो feel नहीं हो रहा था यार. So the point here is the society imposes that thought process on you, and the girls, they start believing, oh, this is the most. I am not saying this is not or this is the important thing or not. That's not my concern. I'm telling you it is the society which imposes this thought process on you. This is how you have to take or you have to consider the issue. Is that very clear? So who says child like the female primary school teachers? Maybe they are more comfortable with the male teachers, but कभी हुए ही नहीं. हो सकता है मेल टीचर्स उन्हें ज्यादा स्पोर्ट्स वोर्ट्स खिला देते या उन्हें अच्छे से पढ़ा देते. क्या पता मेल टीचर्स आर मोर गुड विथ चिल्ड्रन, बट वी हैव नेवर एक्सप्लोर्ड दैट साइड of males, that emotional side of the males, because males are not supposed to be emotional. Is that very clear? This is how we've been brought up. Is this very clear? No, it's okay. I hope that I'm going to inculcate right kind of value system in my son. At least I'll try. That he's not going to judge me on the basis of this, and he would going to empathize with me that I was genuinely in pain. Anyhow, another example I give you. Titanic देखी है? सुनी होगी, पता नहीं आप लोग का जनरेशन ने टाइटैनिक देखी है कि नहीं देखी है. टाइटैनिक में एक सीन था. I relate to that scene because there was this one street play which was done by Delhi University when I was there in my college years, and Gargi College ने किया था, and it was a beautiful play because they actually highlighted the plight of men. Their play was from the perspective of men. We made the play from the perspective of women, but they made the play from the perspective of men. And the first opening scene of their street play was that the life-saving boats in Titanic movie are coming, and everyone is saying that women and children get onto the boat and each man to himself. Right? It was asked that women and children should get onto the boat and each man to himself. I agree, child should get onto the boat because obviously the children are not capable of taking care of themselves at that early stage. But then you were talking about men and women should be treated equally. So is the life of women more important than the life of men? Or you are assuming that women can't take care of themselves, but men are expected to take care of themselves. So women and children get onto the lifeboat, but each man to himself. That was actually a very important lesson to be learned, that this is how gender stereotyping is not only having a negative impact on women, it is having equally negative impact on the men in the society. Is that very clear for everyone? ठीक है? तो unnecessarily इतना प्रेशर नहीं क्रिएट करना होता है. हर इंडिविजुअल अलग हो सकता है विमेन केयरिंग और नर्चरिंग ना हो सकता है विमेन के पास सॉफ्ट स्किल्स ना हो सकता है विमेन इज मोर रैशनल. हाउ वुड यू क्लेम फाल्गुनी नायर, द सीईओ ऑफ नायका? मतलब एवरीबडी नोज हाउ वेल शी इज डन. इंदिरा नूई, Somebody wrote about the female who has won the Ramanujan Prize, the youngest female. They are doing good in a technical subject like mathematics. How would you define that? Right? So the point here is these are the stereotypes which the society has created, and since we have been socialized over a period of time with respect to this value system, we dare not challenge this value system. We believe this is how the society works. In fact, for a very long time, we don't even realize that something wrong is happening to us until and unless some other party tells you, look, you're being discriminated. Is that very clear? Is it making sense? ठीक है. Then it is assumed that women are weak, passive and dependent. हम assume करके चलते हैं that women is weak, they are passive, they cannot be an active participant in various welfare policies, and most importantly, women is dependent. And that is what our Shastras have told us, that women first has to be dependent on her father, then her husband, and then her son, because she is incapable of taking care of herself. And because of this stereotype that you are treating women to be weak, passive, and dependent, there are increased incidences of violence against women. Trust me, human nature hai. You would not commit violence against those whom you think is a strong competitor or an opposition. You always tend to commit violence against those who in your eyes are weak, because you believe them to be weak, dependent and passive. That is why violence against old age, violence against child, violence against person with disability, violence against transgender, violence against minorities, violence against women, because you have the stereotype, अरे ये तो weak है, passive है, dependent है. They would not raise their voice. So it is easy to commit violence against them. एब्सोल्युटली एब्सोल्युटली. ट्राइबल्स में इसीलिए पैरिटी देखने को मिलती है क्योंकि उनका सोशलाइजेशन अलग तरीके से हुआ है. बिल्कुल कृतिका, आई टोटली अग्री टू दिस. इनफैक्ट आई नो सम, लेट्स नॉट गेट इनटू दिस क्योंकि कभी कभी मैं कुछ बोल जाऊंगी विच आई थिंक सम ऑफ यू माइट नॉट लाइक इट, but sometimes I believe that there are certain very handful, I'm making a responsible statement, so that I'm putting a disclaimer, very handful, but yes, some women do try to misuse the provisions which have been provided to them. मतलब अगर जैसे कृतिका ने लिखा कि पब्लिक ट्रांसपोर्ट में आपको हर जगह इक्वालिटी चाहिए, ठीक है ना, तो आप ये देखो ना कि इफ यू आर यंग, यू आर फिट, यू आर केपेबल ऑफ ट्रैवलिंग, यू नो, यू कैन स्टैंड एंड ट्रैवल एंड एवरीथिंग, सो यू शुड गिव योर प्लेस टू अ मेल हु इज aged or a male who actually requires to sit, maybe is not that physically fit. So that kind of attitude should be there. But then yeah, obviously, so let's not get into that debating, but yeah, I hope you understood the point which I'm trying to make here. ग्लास सीलिंग का मतलब होता है देयर एग्जिस्ट अ ट्रांसपेरेंट सीलिंग इन एवरी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन बियॉन्ड विच अ वुमेन इज नॉट प्रमोटेड. So in every organization, most of the organization, you would find women in the lower rung of the jobs. They are not promoted at the higher level of decision making. Is that clear? कितनी women हैं जुडिशरी में? सुप्रीम कोर्ट में कितने women judges हैं? Did you get my point? What I'm trying to say? बिल्कुल बिल्कुल, एब्सोल्युटली आशीष, दैट इज व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू से कि सोशलाइजेशन. और मैं क्यों ये सारी राम कहानी आपको पढ़ाती हूँ, एक ऐसी बात बता देती हूँ, जस्ट 2 minutes. When I used to teach patriarchy in so detail and everything, तो कभी कभी लगता था कि मैम इतना डिटेल में क्यों पढ़ते हैं. So last year, there was an entire essay which was asked on patriarchy, 2020. The entire essay was asked on patriarchy. तो अगर इतना डिटेल में पढ़ोगे नहीं तो 125 वर्ड्स लिखोगे, 125 मार्क्स कैसे लिखोगे? How would you write 1200 words if you not studied in detail? And I was so thankful to UPSC for asking the entire essay on patriarchy, that now teaching so much efforts have been put in and it is getting justified. So yes, you need to study this in detail. You need to understand that if you want to target patriarchy, the value system in the society, you need to understand what are the root cause why patriarchy is persisting. One of the root cause of persistence of patriarchy is this gender stereotype. ये stereotype को handle करना जरूरी है, automatically patriarchy challenge हो जाएगी. But हम कैसे कोशिश करते हैं patriarchy को challenge करने के लिए? Government will come up with certain laws, government will come up with certain schemes. Do you think those schemes and laws will bring about significant changes without bringing about the changes in the value system? Is that clear? Chalo, let's start very quickly. So is the first point clear? छवि रजावत, अंशुल, एब्सोल्युटली. इनफैक्ट अंशुल, आई एम सो सॉरी, मैं यहाँ पे पॉइंट्स, क्योंकि पॉइंट अच्छा दिया है अंशुल ने, दैट वी कैन टेक द नेम ग्राउंड लेवल पे. भक्ति शर्मा, ब्रिलियंट सरपंच ऑफ द विलेज, एंड शी वाज द एस्पिरेंट हरसेल्फ. छवि रजावत. इनफैक्ट आई विल गिव यू एन एग्जांपल. एक सेकेंड. एस्थर डफलो. एस्थर डफलो जिनको नोबेल प्राइज मिला, तो एस्थर डफलो बेसिकली कंडक्टेड द स्टडी with respect to the village in India, and she found wherever women sarpanch has been there, the governance has been good. ये लिख लो कहीं, तुम लोग को ना एग्जाम में एग्जाम्पल देने के काम आएगा. एस्थर डफलो. एस्थर डफलो. Esther Duflo conducted the study in context of Indian villages, and it was found that wherever a women sarpanch has been there, the investment has been made in improving the infrastructure. Let's say sanitation हो गया, roads हो गई, connectivity हो गई, and because of which it has assured good governance. बिल्कुल लिखो ये सारे examples. Is that very clear? Can we proceed? Ma'am, sometimes laws which are made to support them, they even take advantage in the name of helping them. ये बच्चे मैं समझी नहीं. Sometimes laws which are made to support them, they even take advantage in the. अच्छा, ठीक है. Okay. हाँ, ठीक है. Do we need to explain? नहीं बच्चे, नहीं. Glass ceiling pink collar job is like an everyday term that we use nowadays. Nothing doing. Esther Duflo conducted a study. बिल्कुल, absolutely, you can give these examples. Esther Duflo conducted the studies in context of Indian villages and found that wherever there has been a women sarpanch, it has assured good governance. It has led to good governance. Next. So we have discussed gender manifestation, impact of gender stereotyping on the status of women. ठीक है? Next, write down. Concept of gender draws its legitimacy from a patriarchal society. Concept of gender draws its legitimacy from patriarchal society. Next, concept of patriarchy, right? Patriarchy is defined as system of social structures and practices. Patriarchy is defined as system of social structures and practices in which men oppress exploit and dominate women. Kritika, I like the example. Fairy tales. Absolutely correct. Brilliant example. One can write this. I didn't see that you've written this example. ठीक है? Next. The structure of patriarchy. According to me, this is the most important content. This is the important content because this will help you in your essay also. अच्छा क्या लिखा है मिताली? कैन वी ऑल्सो इंक्लूड इश्यू ऑफ फाइनेंशियल इंक्लूजन ऑफ वुमेन इन इम्पैक्ट ऑफ जेंडर स्टीरियोटाइपिंग? हाँ हाँ बिल्कुल बिल्कुल बिल्कुल, absolutely yes. They are denied participation in the labor market. This is also one of the impact of gender stereotyping. So obviously the issue of financial inclusion. बिल्कुल लिख सकते हैं मिताली, absolutely. ठीक है? Next we are talking about the structures of patriarchy. Why we are discussing this is every now and then when the question comes on women, we have too many UPSC questions to discuss, so you don't worry. I think next to next lecture हम सिर्फ UPSC के questions discuss करेंगे. इतने पूछ लिए उन्होंने women पे. Women is by the way the favorite topic for UPSC. So 2 to 3 questions every year. ठीक है? This year I think 2 questions तो polity में थे, and then you had question in GS paper 1 also, and so you have enough questions. तो ऐसे पूछ लेंगे या फिर questions पूछ लेंगे. So it's one of their favorite topic. So let's start structures of patriarchy. See, the thing is that whenever there comes a question on women, the reason for those problems is patriarchy, and the solution to those problems is abolition or annihilation of patriarchy. But then how will you write like 1200 words or 250 words for that matter if every time you are just writing the cause as patriarchy and the solution is eradication of patriarchy? You need to understand those structures through which patriarchy is promoted. So the first structure or the institution where the lessons of patriarchy is learned is family. So basically, if you want to confront patriarchy, you have to change the value system which is imparted by family. Write down. The first notions of patriarchy are learned in the family. The first notions or lessons of patriarchy are learned in the family. For example, boy child is considered as inheritor of family, whereas girl child is considered as paraya dhan. Second, most of the families that we have are patrilineal and patrilocal. Now you know the meaning of the terms. As a result, low status is accorded to girl child in the society. Then lessons of gender stereotyping is also taught at family level. For example, blue for boys and pink for girls. Similarly, with respect to the toys that the child is going to play also is determined not by their taste or preference but by their gender. लड़का है तो कार ला दो, लड़की है तो डॉल ला दो. Is this clear? नहीं आशीष, एक्चुअली क्या है ना, ऐसा नहीं है कि हम विमेन को वीक मान रहे हैं, बट एक फैक्ट तो है ना कि बिकॉज ऑफ द वैल्यू सिस्टम विच हैज परसिस्टेड फॉर सो मेनी इयर्स, द स्टेटस ऑफ विमेन इन आवर सोसाइटी हैज बिकम वीक. सो अब बात आ रही है कि पहले बेटी को बचाओ, क्योंकि एक्चुअली सेक्स रेशियो एट बर्थ इज अ critical issue. We have already talked in the lecture. And then you have to educate your women. So after years, the women would become an equal comrade in the society as that of men. But as of now, we are not treating women as weak. But the fact is that women is weak right now. She is weak with respect to access to resources. She is weak with respect to infrastructure. राइट क्योंकि ये मत समझो कि विमेन को वीक कह रहे हैं, बट देखो एक तरह से देखा जाए तो अपॉर्चुनिटीज तो नहीं दी है ना यार उसको, तो स्टेटस तो वीक है ना, लेट्स पुट इट दिस वे. ठीक है. Is this clear? So write down. Family acts as an agent of reproducing the patriarchal culture. Family acts as an agent of reproducing the patriarchal culture rather than, अरे भाई gender stereotyping. Gender stereotyping. Gender stereotyping. Family acts as an agent of reproducing patriarchal culture rather than social change. Rather than social change. Next structure. Write down. Don't write this, let me first explain. Write एक statement लिखो. Patriarchal construction of knowledge perpetuates patriarchy. Patriarchal construction of knowledge perpetuates patriarchal ideology, and it is reflected in our media and educational system. Patriarchal construction of knowledge perpetuates patriarchal ideology, and it is reflected in our education system and media. How media? How media is perpetuating patriarchy? Through objectification and commodification of women. So via objectification and commodification of women, media perpetuates patriarchy. So for those who don't know, objectification का मतलब होता है where women is not treated as a human being but an object of sexual desire. That is objectification. So objectification of women means that instead of being treated as a human being, they are treated as an object of sexual desire. And since they are treated as an object of sexual desire, then they are treated as a commodity to be traded in market. आजकल तो मेन का भी ऑब्जेक्टिफिकेशन और कमोडिफिकेशन हो रहा है. इनफैक्ट मुझे लग रहा है अब हाई टाइम है वी शुड ऑल्सो स्टडी द प्लाइट ऑफ मेन. वो बात अलग है, यूपीएससी सवाल नहीं पूछता है, लेकिन पढ़ना चाहिए कि इनफैक्ट मेन आर ऑल्सो फेसिंग द ब्रंट. चाहे वो मिस यूज ऑफ लॉज हो, चाहे वो ऑब्जेक्टिफिकेशन एंड कमोडिफिकेशन हो. अब सिर्फ फेयर एंड लवली नहीं रह गया है, फेयर एंड हैंडसम भी आ गया है. सो द पॉइंट हियर इज ऑब्जेक्टिफिकेशन एंड कमोडिफिकेशन. यू ट्राई टू क्रिएट एन आइडियल इमेज ऑफ द गर्ल. She has to be fair, she has to be beautiful. So, you are treating women not as a human being, but as an object of sexual desire. And for that, you are treating her as a commodity to be traded in the market. You are creating a picture of ideal women, right? So that is nothing but objectification and commodification of women by media. Is that very clear for everyone? Have you seen advertisements which are there shown on the media? So you would realize that jitne bhi domestic appliances ke ads hote hain, you will always find the women in those ads. This is how you are objectifying her, right? You are trying to strengthen the gender stereotype which is already existing, and all those adventurous advertisements, and where there's a lot of risk which is involved or adventure is involved. So in those ads you will always find a male, and even if women are present in those ads, they are not serving any purpose. They are only there for the sexual aspect. For example, there is very infamous ad, Axe deodorant ka ad dekha hai, that a boy is putting that Axe deodorant and the girls are running towards him. What was the purpose of that ad? That's highly sexist ad. So that is that women are only serving the purpose of acting as an object of sexual desire. Again, in the exam, you don't need to explain objectification and commodification. That's only for your understanding. Is that very clear? Is it making sense? Then education system. Education system में the content. Content कैसे आप gender stereotype कर रहे हो? Fairy tales. I think किसने लिखा था? Kritika wrote it शायद. So yeah, very good point. So fairy tales. Again, the primary school books. The content is highly gender colored. What I mean by gender colored is there is biasness. Remember yesterday I gave you an example, father going to office, mother taking care of household. You are creating that impact on the psyche of the child, where child expects mother to be at home and child doesn't mind if the father is not at home, because that is what he's being socialized with. That look, your father is going outside to earn the bread for the family, but it's your duty of your mother to take care of the household responsibility. तो ये तो बच्चे को पढ़ाया, पर जब बच्चा घर आया तो उसने देखा यार मम्मी भी काम पे जा रही है, तो ये तो नहीं होने वाला, ऐसे तो नहीं चलेगा. हमें तो स्कूल में पढ़ाया गया था कि मम्मी इज सपोज टू टेक केयर ऑफ द हाउस होल्ड chores. Is that very clear? So that is nothing but the content of the education is gender colored. Then there was this one incident where the school book had the picture shown, two girls were there, and one picture was a fair complexion girl, below that it was written beneath that beautiful, and there was a dark complexion girl and it was written ugly. किस तरह का सोशलाइजेशन आप बच्चों को दे रहे हो, वेयर यू आर नॉट ओनली ऑब्जेक्टिफाइंग वुमेन हियर बट ऑल्सो द डेवलपमेंट ऑफ रेशियल एटीट्यूड, वेयर यू आर क्रिएटिंग द माइंडसेट दैट फेयर इज ब्यूटिफुल एंड डार्क इज अगली. सो दिस इज नथिंग बट द कंटेंट ऑफ द एजुकेशन सिस्टम इज gender colored. Again, another thing which further perpetuates patriarchy is lack of requisite infrastructure. There was a report by Annual Status of Education Report, ASER. It said, I think the report was 2018. The report was 2018 when the ASER has basically Annual Status of Education Report had studied the secondary education, and it found that there are maximum dropouts among girls due to lack of separate functional toilets. बिकॉज ऑब्वियसली सेकेंडरी लेवल है, प्यूबर्टी आ जाती है, मेंस्ट्रुएशन इश्यूज होते हैं, गर्ल्स रिक्वायर separate functional toilets, but in the absence of the separate functional toilets, majority of the girls have dropped out. That was the survey which was done by ASER, Annual Status of Education Report. That's good. You guys are actually understanding what we are trying to discuss here. Very good. Absolutely correct. Okay, let me just एक बार देख लूं मैं आप लोगों ने और क्या लिखा है. हाँ सेजल, we'll just talk about cinema and the television. Just give me some time. बिल्कुल अभिषेक, हम बात करेंगे इसकी. बस 5 मिनट दे दो बच्चे, फिर हम बात करते हैं. इज दैट वेरी क्लियर? एब्सोल्युटली, जो भी आप लिख रहे हो बिल्कुल सही है. क्लियर है यहाँ पे? फिर एटीट्यूड ऑफ द टीचर्स. अब जब टीचर ही पेट्रियार्कल होगा तो फिर बात ही क्या है? पेट्रियार्कल एटीट्यूड या होगी. So the patriarchal attitude of the teachers. There are various teachers, and please, it is nothing to do with the boys being or the men being patriarchal. The girls are equally patriarchal. Many a time they don't even realize what they are saying is actually nothing but the manifestation of patriarchy. I'll just discuss. किसी ने पूछा भी, women subjugating other women. I'll just come back to that point. Is patriarchal attitude clear of the teachers? Next, symbolism. All these examples can be written here. If you actually visualize the role of cinema, television, scriptures, they are also perpetuating patriarchy by creating a certain image of women. I think somebody wrote about Ekta Kapoor. Absolutely. You have actually created a self-sacrificing image of women. The lead protagonist of your serials, she is always sacrificing. No matter how much atrocities are committed against her, she will never raise her voice, and she will always ensure that family should be integrated, no matter the family members are doing all kind of planning, plotting against her. What crap, with all due respect. So yeah, because majority of our audience watches that. But yeah, self-sacrificing image of women, that is what you've created through television. So you create a very unrealistic image of women, and that is why वो तो वहां acting करके चले गए, but in the real life now the women in the family is expected to perform the role that Parvati or Tulsi or whatever the name they have performed in their life or in their television serial. So that pressure is always there. So you create unrealistic expectation from the women by creating a self-sacrificing image. That is absolutely correct. Cinema. Even if your society is not ready to accept, there is a statement, what society obscures, cinema reveals. So if you think that you want to say, nahi, everything is good in my society, the women is getting empowered, look at your cinema. Because many a times what society obscures, छुपाता है, वो cinema reveal कर देता है. Is that very clear? So see your cinema. You are only writing the answer. Absolutely. Kabir Singh, Ranjana. Do you even realize Ranjana mein you were actually glorifying stalking? कितने मतलब अगर लड़का, मैं अब तो खैर मैं भूल गई उसके डायलॉग्स, बट मुझे हाँ, कि अगर यहां पर भी नहीं पटा सका तो फिर क्या बात है। मतलब डू यू रियलाइज द एंटायर 90s द बॉलीवुड प्रोजेक्टेड वुमेन एज डैम्सल इन डिस्ट्रेस, where there always has to be a hero to protect her. That is how we've been brought up. Everybody waits for their Salman Khan. I don't laugh, but that's a fact. The entire 90s was based on that. And the only means a guy knew to woo a girl was through stalking. Remember, खंबे जैसी खड़ी है, आपको तो क्या ही पता होगा, आमिर खान वगैरह की मूवी हुआ करती थी. So if you have heard of such song, you are objectifying women. So you are objectifying women. It is wrong at that place. Second, you are stalking her. Okay, in order to woo her, that's a criminal offense under Criminal Amendment Act of 2013. Stalking is a criminal offense. You are doing that. Then you are glorifying violence in a relationship. Kabir Singh. So ये क्या कर रहे हो आप? Then Ranjana, emotional pressure by committing that suicide if the girl is not agreeing to your love. So in every possible way, these movies were wrong. Is that very clear? But it has a significant impact on the psyche of youth. So you need to be very responsible before creating such cinema. But yes, cinema has played its role. Television has played its role. Then scriptures. I think I've given this example in essay classes also. Everybody wants a Sita in their family. Nobody wants a Draupadi. Why? Because Draupadi is considered responsible for Kurukshetra, whereas Sita is one who was all self-sacrificing. She was the one who gave Agni Pariksha without even being at fault. So there exists a problem in our society. We all suffer from what is known as Sita syndrome. We want a Sita in our family. This term has been used by Apurva Purohit in her book, Lady, You Are Not a Man. She wrote a book, Lady, You Are Not a Man. No matter how much you do, you will always be told that, look, lady, you are not a man. And in that book, she gave the concept of Sita syndrome. Everyone wants a Sita in their family. Nobody wants a Draupadi, because Draupadi is considered as responsible for Kurukshetra, and it is Sita who is all self-sacrificing. Is this very clear for everyone? Is it making sense? You can absolutely give the objectified, commodified content of the or the lyrics of. इनफैक्ट आपको एक बात बताती हूँ, आपको भी लगेगा कि मैम, अभी तक थैंकफुली किसी ने ये नहीं पूछा कि मैम क्या ये एग्जाम्पल हम लिख सकते हैं. अरे यार बिल्कुल लिख सकते हो, बट ये मत लिखना तू चीज बड़ी है मस्बत या खंबे जैसी खड़ी है. डोंट राइट दीज एग्जाम्पल्स, बट येस, ऑब्जेक्टिफिकेशन ऑफ वुमेन इन मूवीज वाया लिरिक्स. ठीक है, तो इस तरह से करके यू कैन राइट. देन और यू कैन राइट ग्लोरिफिकेशन ऑफ वायलेंस अगेंस्ट वुमेन थ्रू सिनेमा, एंड देन यू कैन गिव एग्जांपल ऑफ रंजना, कबीर सिंह, ऑल ऑफ दैट. इज दैट आइटम सॉन्ग्स? ठीक है. सो अरे एक बार आई रिमेंबर जब माई फ्रेंड वॉज गिविंग हर इंटरव्यू, आई थिंक नॉट द सेम फ्रेंड दिस टाइम, इट्स अनदर फ्रेंड. 2012 की बात है, हाँ 2012 की बात है. एंड आई थिंक वही टाइम था व्हेन हनी सिंह was very famous, मतलब उसके songs वगैरह बहुत. So she was from Chandigarh. So the interview board asked her that what's your take on the songs of Honey Singh, since you belong to Chandigarh, you are a woman. Socios का optional था, तो उससे ये सवाल पूछ लिया कि हनी सिंह के गानों पे तुम्हारा क्या ओपिनियन है. तो मतलब बड़ा फर्क पड़ता है भाई. तो या उस टाइम पे हनी सिंह बहुत फेमस थे, तो ये सारे गाने आ गए. सो क्वेश्चंस बनते हैं. सो इज दैट क्लियर फॉर एवरीवन? कैन वी प्रोसीड? ठीक. सो डैम्सल इन डिस्ट्रेस इमेज हो गया, सीता सिंड्रोम हो गया, या फिर सेल्फ सैक्रिफाइसिंग इमेज ऑफ वुमेन हो गया, या फिर आइडियोलॉजिकल इंडोक्ट्रिनेशन. आइडियोलॉजिकल इंडोक्ट्रिनेशन, पतिव्रता. ये वर्ड यूज करते हैं ना, ठीक है. पतिव्रता, स्त्री धर्म. तो आप ये वर्ड्स यूज करके आइडियोलॉजी का इंडोक्ट्रिनेशन कर रहे हो इन द माइंड्स ऑफ द पीपल. सो बाय यूजिंग दीज टर्मिनोलॉजीज देयर इज आइडियोलॉजिकल इंडोक्ट्रिनेशन. तो मीडिया सबसे ज्यादा ऑब्जेक्टिफिकेशन, कमोडिफिकेशन और विच हंटिंग करती है. एंड आयरनी इज द वुमेन इक्वली इज पार्टिसिपेटिंग इन विच हंटिंग ऑफ अनदर वुमेन. सो सुशांत सिंह राजपूत केस, व्हाट हैपेंड विथ रिया चक्रवर्ती. सो एनीवे, सो लेट्स गेट डाउन टू द पॉइंट. अब क्या डिस्कस करना था हमें? नॉलेज सिस्टम हो गया, सिंबोलिज्म हो गया, रिलीजन. एक लाइन लिखो, देन आई डिस्कस द एग्जांपल्स. रिलीजन, write down. Patriarchal construction of social practices, patriarchal construction of social practices are legitimized. Patriarchal construction of social practices are legitimized by religion and religious institution. I'll repeat. Patriarchal construction of social practices are legitimized by religion and religious institution as most practices regard male authority as superior. As most religious practices regard male authority as superior. अब देखो, यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड तो है नहीं, तो हम अपनी पर्सनल लाइव्स में जो लॉज हैं, जो हमें गवर्न कर रहे हैं, दे आर बेसिकली द रिलीजियस लॉज एंड दे आर ऑफन बायस्ड अगेंस्ट वुमेन. ठीक है ना? सो रिलीजन. सो विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू रिलीजन, एक कॉन्सेप्ट है देवी डाइकोटोमी. Where on one hand women is treated as a devi, that is as a goddess. On the other hand, her status in the society is that of a dasi, slave. In fact, the irony dekho, goddess of education is Saraswati, right? A female. But women is denied education in our society. ठीक है. Goddess of wealth is Lakshmi, but the irony is in our society women doesn't have financial inclusion, as one of you mentioned. Goddess of strength is Durga, but the irony is we treat our women to be weak. Is that very clear? That's the paradox. India is a paradoxical society where our culture is very customized. We only borrow all those aspects which we think is suitable to our interest. So we are worshipping goddess Saraswati, Lakshmi, Durga, Kali, right? But on the other hand, when it comes down to women in the actual society, we treat that, the education should not be given, the labor force participation opportunity should not be given. She is weak, she can't take care of herself. So yeah. Devi dichotomy. Is that clear? In fact, but don't take it otherwise. The festivals that we celebrate, Raksha Bandhan, it is always perceived that a brother is supposed to take care of the sister. It is not the siblings taking care of themselves. It is clearly the brother who's going to take care of a sister. What an irony. My brother is 9 years younger to me. Imagine. उस टाइम पे मैंने शायद इतना सोचा भी नहीं, but now I think, imagine I'm tying a Rakhi to a toddler and I'm expecting, please take care of me, na? I am incapable of taking care of myself. In fact, why will I take care of you? I am a girl, I'm the sister, you are the brother, you are supposed to take care of me. Even today, when he has grown up, the one thing would always remain, he is 9 years younger to me. So with respect to experience, with respect to, looking at the society, I am the one who's supposed to take care of him, right? Ideally, it is the older sibling taking care of the younger sibling, irrespective of their gender. But Raksha Bandhan has clearly categorized brother taking care of the sister. Socialization, gender stereotyped roles. Is that very clear? In fact, there is a very famous French scholar, Simone de Beauvoir. I hope I'm spelling it right. According to her, religion is an instrument of deception. where on one hand it asks you to worship female goddesses, whereas on the other hand the status of the women in the society is very low. So deceive कर रहा है, धोखा दे रहा है. ठीक है, फेमिनिस्ट स्कॉलर है, थोड़ा एक्सट्रीम व्यू पॉइंट है, बट कहीं ना कहीं सही भी है. ठीक है, इज दिस क्लियर? एब्सोल्युटली अंशुल, एब्सोल्युटली. इमेजिन एग्जैक्टली. अब तुम लोग सीख गए हो. फास्ट हो गए, फेस्टिवल्स हो गए, बिल्कुल सही है. इनफैक्ट यार वो छठ पूजा वाला फास्ट, आई जस्ट हैपन टू इंटरैक्ट विद सम फ्रेंड ऑफ माइन हु हैज केप्ट दैट फास्ट, एंड व्हेन शी टोल्ड मी दैट व्हाट इज द प्रोसेस, yeah shit, it is such a difficult fast. Hats off to those women who are keeping that fast. Matlab, it's very difficult. So but yeah, those fasts are meant for women. Is that clear? ठीक है. अब यहाँ कोई पर्सनली मत लेना कि मैं किसी के फेस्टिवल या किसी के कल्चर पे बात उठा रही हूँ. नहीं, मैं सिर्फ बात बता रही हूँ कि बहुत डिफिकल्ट है फास्ट, एंड आई एम अप्रिशिएटिंग. भाई बहुत करेज चाहिए टू कीप सच फास्ट. ठीक है. हाँ, तो ओवर द पीरियड ऑफ टाइम सोसाइटी भी तो चेंज हो रही है ना यार. सोसाइटी भी तो चेंज हो रही है. सी, समथिंग शुड नॉट बी रिजिड, right? Something should not be rigid. That's what. Even the God also today doesn't want things to be rigid. ठीक है. Last, caste. Caste. Right on. Caste and gender are closely related. Caste and gender are closely related. Caste and gender are closely related. Caste and gender are closely related, and the sexuality of women Abu, I'll answer this. Sexuality of women is directly linked to the purity of caste. Caste and gender are closely related, and sexuality of women, caste and gender are closely related, and sexuality of women is closely related with the purity of caste. Caste system and caste endogamy. Caste system and caste endogamy tries to control the labor and sexuality of women. Tries क्या करता ही है. Caste system and caste endogamy exerts control over labor and sexuality of women. Hence, caste system is not just the social division of labor. Hence, caste system is not just the social division of labor, but also sexual division of labor. Caste is not just the social division of labor, but also the sexual division of labor. ठीक है. एक कॉन्सेप्ट मैंने कल बोला था क्लास में, तो वो मैं एक बार थोड़ा सा डिफाइन करती हूँ. वो आप यूज कर सकते हो टर्म्स को. But before that, Abu, you need to prepare ourselves to vacate home. So just an experience. Obviously, मेरा by default हो गया. बट अगर मैं थोड़े दिन और रह जाती तो शायद मुझसे भी कह दिया जाता. आई स्टिल रिमेंबर जब नया नया पढ़ना शुरू किया था, एंड फॉर द वे भाई ठीक है, आई हैव ऑल्सो स्टडीड अबाउट SC ST दलित्स, आप स्कूल में जो थोड़ा बहुत पढ़ते हो, बट जब यूपीएससी की तैयारी हुई पहली बार समझ आया ओके दिस इज हाउ रिजर्वेशन इज वर्किंग, ओके दीज आर दी अट्रोसिटीज विच हैव बीन कमिटेड, अच्छा तो ट्राइब्स ऐसे हैं, अच्छा ट्राइब्स को ये दिक्कतें हैं, या माइनॉरिटीज के साथ ये हो रहा है, अच्छा विमेन है इसमें. सो व्हेन यू स्टडी एंड व्हेन यू हैव स्टार्टेड ऑब्जर्विंग यू बिकम मोर रिस्पॉन्सिबल टुवर्ड्स एवरीथिंग हैपनिंग अराउंड. और फिर जब आप क्वेश्चन करते हो वो प्रैक्टिसेस जो आपके घर में हो रही हैं, ट्रस्ट मी ये सुनने को बहुत मिलेगा, 2 किताबें क्या पढ़ ली हैं, ज्यादा बातें आ गई हैं. ये बहुत कॉमन है, ये कई बार मेरे को सुनने को मिला है. ये तो अब जाकर आई स्टार्टेड माई प्रेपरेशन इन 2009, तब से लेकर अब जाकर थोड़ी बहुत एक्सेप्टेंस मिली है कि मेरे व्यू पॉइंट्स को आउटराइटली नेगेट नहीं करते हैं एंड दे ट्राई टू अकोमोडेट वट एवर आई एम ट्राइंग टू से. क्योंकि बार बार जब आप लॉजिक देते हो तो वो समझते हैं. जैसे मैं अब आपको नेक्स्ट टॉपिक जो पढ़ा रही हूं उसमें मैं आपको एग्जांपल दूंगी एंड यू विल रिलेट. बट कहते हैं ना बी द चेंज यू वांट टू सी इन द सोसाइटी. सो या in the world. So yeah, be the change. The charity begins at home. So why not try to bring up, in case you are convinced that the change has to happen, then do make an effort. Brahmanical patriarchy. Brahmanical patriarchy concept समझा रही हूं क्योंकि यूज कर सकते हो, but सुनो कैसे. Brahmanical patriarchy does not mean patriarchy among Brahmins. नहीं. It says this is concept of Brahmanical patriarchy. Matlab, the manner in which patriarchy is existing and is organized in context of Indian society, it is based on the notions of purity and pollution. और ये तुम कहाँ देख सकते हो? For example, during menstruation, in most of the families, the girl is not allowed to enter the kitchen. She is not allowed to enter the temple. She is not allowed to sit with other members. Most of the families, this practice is still existing. In case it is not happening in your family, trust me, you are very nicely and very progressively placed, but this is how it operates. So during menstruation, because that is considered as polluting, so the girl is not allowed to enter into these vicinities. The entire Sabrimala temple issue, it is based on the notion of purity and pollution, that women in the menstruating age group is not allowed to enter into the vicinity of the temple. So this is nothing but Brahmanical patriarchy, that the manner in which patriarchy is persisting, organized in our society, is based on the notions of purity and pollution. For example, upper caste women is not very it is not very acceptable norm for an upper caste women to work in the labor market. Is that very clear? Because it is believed controlling the mobility and the sexuality of women is the sign of purity. Understand one observation. The more you move higher in the caste hierarchy, the more is the strict notions of purity and pollution, the more rigid would be your patriarchy. Did you understand? The more higher you move in the caste hierarchy, the more strict would be the notions of purity, the more stringent would be the patriarchal norms. Is that clear? Similarly, premarital sex. Why it is considered a taboo in our society, premarital sex, is because it is related to the notion of purity and pollution. Upper caste women not allowed to do the menial jobs, or let us say low status jobs. और वो उनके विम्स एंड फैंसीज पे डिपेंड करता है वो किसको लो स्टेटस जॉब मानेंगे. So there are very strict control over women's mobility and her sexuality. Whom will she marry? What job will she do? During menstruation, she would not be entering into certain arena. So all of this is linked with the concept of purity and pollution. Is this clear? उसका हम कुछ नहीं कर सकते सेजल, वो फैक्ट है, वो फैक्ट है. ये तो लिखना ही पड़ेगा. इसका कोई बैलेंस्ड वो नहीं है. पेट्रियार्की इज रॉन्ग इन एवरी विच वे. जैसे कास्ट सिस्टम रॉन्ग है ना, वैसे ही पेट्रियार्की इज रॉन्ग इन एवरी विच वे. तो उसको कोई भी हम बैलेंस लाइन ड्रॉ नहीं कर सकते. एब्सोल्युटली नॉट. हाँ, ये जरूर लिख सकते हैं अगर डिपेंडिंग अपॉन द नेचर ऑफ द क्वेश्चन दैट सम ऑफ द वुमेन आर मिस यूजिंग द प्रोविजंस व्हिच आर बीइंग प्रोवाइडेड, वो सारी चीजें अलग है. बट ये नहीं कह सकते अरे पेट्रियार्की इज फंक्शनल. बैलेंस्ड ओपिनियन क्या है? ये तो बच्चे फैक्ट है. हमने कुछ भी ऐसा नहीं कहा जो नहीं हो रहा है. ये तो हो रहा है ना. वो तो सोचो, मैं इंडिविजुअल फैमिली का एग्जांपल नहीं देके सबरीमाला का एग्जांपल दे रही हूं, तो वो तो प्योरिटी एंड पोल्यूशन पे ही बेस्ड है बच्चे. तो इसमें कुछ भी नहीं है, फैक्ट है. इट्स अ कॉन्सेप्ट, इट्स अ फैक्ट. Concept which is supported by the facts. एग्जैक्टली वैभव, एग्जैक्टली. आई वॉज कमिंग टू दिस पॉइंट. इतना समझ गए हो तो एक लास्ट ऑब्जर्वेशन बताना है मुझे. वाई एम आई डिस्कसिंग ऑल ऑफ दिस विथ यू? द पॉइंट हियर इज, ऑल्दो एज अ थ्रेड patriarchy is existing on a pan-Indian basis. Barring one or two tribal societies, patriarchy largely is existing everywhere. The point here is the nature in which the patriarchy is practiced or is existing varies. For example, the manner in which patriarchy is practiced in upper caste would be very different from the manner in which it would be practiced in lower caste. The manner it is practiced in tribal community would be very different from the manner in which it would be practiced in the mainstream society. The manner in which it is being practiced in Hindu women would be very different from the manner in which they would be practiced in Muslim women. So although patriarchy as an ideology is existing on a pan-Indian basis, but there exists variation with respect to the manner in which it is being practiced. Likho. Write down. Although patriarchy exist on a pan-Indian basis, patriarchy exists on a pan-Indian basis, but the manner in which it is practiced varies with respect to class, caste, varies with respect to class, caste, region, religion, ethnicity, etc. Hence, we can say Brahminic, we can say the patriarchy among Dalit is different from that among Brahmins, is different from the upper class as that of lower class. Is that clear? ठीक है. तभी कहते हैं women should not be treated as a homogeneous group. because women belonging to different religion, different caste, different class, different ethnicity have different problems. Although the root cause of problems is same, that is patriarchy, but the problems are different. So obviously they need different solutions. We will discuss Sabrimala separately, ठीक है? हाँ मिताली, बिल्कुल बिल्कुल, थ्योरी इज गिवन टू गिव यू द कॉन्सेप्ट. अब जैसे ब्राह्मणिकल पेट्रियार्की है, अगर आप न्यूज़पेपर में पढ़ते हो तो आपको पढ़ के समझ आ जाना चाहिए कि अच्छा ये तो पढ़ा था हमने. पिंक कॉलर जॉब पढ़ते हो तो ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए दैट यू डोंट नो व्हाट इज पिंक कॉलर जॉब. आफ्टर दैट यू कैन गिव एग्जाम्पल्स. जैसे पिंक कॉलर जॉब्स में आपने बात कर ली. इनफैक्ट इफ यू वांट योर आंसर टू बी स्लाइटली एनरिच्ड, सो व्हाइल गिविंग द एग्जाम्पल्स, वन और टू टर्मिनोलॉजी शुड बी यूज्ड. इट्स अ वोकैबुलरी फॉर इंडियन सोसाइटी. बच्चे ये इंडियन सोसाइटी की वोकैबुलरी है. अब जैसे कुछ चीजें देखो, ये ब्राह्मणिकल पेट्रियार्की तो इंडियन सोसाइटी का ही कॉन्सेप्ट है, तो इसको लिखना तो इट वुड बी गुड. नो, संस्कृताइजेशन तो इंडियन सोसाइटी में ही इवॉल्व हुआ कॉन्सेप्ट है. हमने कोई बाहर की थ्योरी बोरो नहीं करी है. इट इज द थ्योरी अबाउट योर ओन सोसाइटी. So one should not shy away from quoting, and no one will get to know that you are sociology student. Sociology में और भी बहुत सारे हाई फंडे हैं, ये कोई बहुत हाई फंडा नहीं. इट्स अ वेरी नॉर्मल थिंग. Is that very clear? ठीक है ना? But yes, while you are writing these terminologies, you should also you should always support your concept with the examples. Is that clear? और एक और चीज बताती हूँ, जब आप ये कॉन्सेप्ट यूज करते हो ना, तो यू सेव ऑन सर्टन टाइम एंड स्पेस. अब जैसे अगर आपको यही कॉन्सेप्ट लिखना है तो बस इतना लिख सकते थे आप कि द आइडिया ऑफ प्योरिटी एंड पोल्यूशन हैज बीन एक्सटेंडेड टू वुमेन एज अ ग्रुप इन कॉन्टेक्स्ट ऑफ इंडिया, फॉर एग्जाम्पल. देन यू कैन गिव एग्जाम्पल्स. ठीक है, अगर आपको ब्राह्मणिकल पेट्रियार्की नहीं लिखना तो. ठीक है. अच्छा, किसी ने पूछा कि मैम सबरीमाला का जो लीगल स्टांस था, इट इज नॉट बेस्ड ऑन पोल्यूशन. द टर्म इज कॉइंड इन मीडिया, सो विल इट बी राइट टू यूज द पोल्यूशन टर्म इन आंसर्स इफ वी गिव दिस एग्जांपल? शुभम, बच्चे जो जजमेंट आया था ना सबरीमाला का, जो अभी वापस से बिगर बेंच को रेफर कर दिया गया है, तो वो जो 5 जजेस बेंच का जजमेंट आया था, इनमें इन विच द विमेन वर अलाउड टू एंटर सबरीमाला टेम्पल, एंड इट वॉज 4:1 के रेशियो में जजमेंट आया था. सो दोज 4 जजेस हु गेव द जजमेंट इन द फेवर ऑफ वुमेन एंटरिंग द टेम्पल, द वन ऑफ द rationale which they gave in the judgment was that by not allowing women the entry into the temple on the basis of that mensurating age group is the practice of untouchability under Article 17. And the term untouchability is borrowed or has emerged from the concept of purity and pollution, right? To which one judge who was not in the favor of women entering the temple, Indu Malhotra, she said ki nahi, untouchability is only valid up till caste notions, it cannot be extended to gender. So to which those 4 judges replied that our constitution is like a doctrine of living tree, which is always under the process of evolution. So you cannot say that the ambit of Article 17 cannot be extended to gender. तो ऐसे तो कह नहीं सकते ना बच्चे. अनटचेबिलिटी ये तो खुद जज ने बोला था जब ये जजमेंट आया था ना 4:1 का, तो उन्होंने ये टर्म यूज किया था कि बाय नॉट अलाउइंग वुमेन इन द मेंस्युरेटिंग एज ग्रुप टू एंटर सबरीमाला टेम्पल इज नथिंग बट द प्रैक्टिस ऑफ अनटचेबिलिटी अंडर आर्टिकल 17. इज दैट वेरी क्लियर? क्लियर है? किसने पूछा था? जिसने भी पूछा था. शुभम, इज इट क्लियर? ठीक है. सो विद दिस द स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ पेट्रियार्की कम्स टू एन एंड. ठीक है. सो द क्वेश्चंस विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू वुमेन, आई थिंक आई हैव अ क्लास डे आफ्टर टुमारो. सो in that class I'll discuss patriarchy vis-a-vis workplace. I'll discuss violence against women. उसमें ज्यादा टाइम नहीं लगेगा क्योंकि मेरे हैंड रिटन नोट्स हैं उसमें, तो वही हम स्लाइड पे भी देख सकते हैं. तो वो हम करके we'll finish it off and we'll discuss the UPSC questions from women issues so that you will get an idea that how this knowledge can be used there. Is that very clear for everyone? नहीं, एक सेकेंड. ओके, बाय द वे, ऑफिशियली द लेक्चर gets concluded. I am just answering the questions which are there on the response portal. So I haven't given you any, एक second, just a sec guys, I haven't given you any question for the day, no? एक second, देखते हैं कोई question. Write down. वो नहीं है, to what extent inclusion of dominant caste in the OBC list can be the solution? That becomes the assignment question. That becomes the assignment question. And एक question और लिखो. What do you mean by Dalit capitalism? What do you mean by Dalit capitalism? And to what extent it is the solution for all Dalit problems in context of India? What do you mean? 10 marker question. What do you mean by Dalit capitalism? Question mark. To what extent it is the solution to all the Dalit problems in context of India? Harsis, I got your question. See, bache, wage gap is not with respect to different field of work. No, wage gap is often calculated when for the same work, the women is paid less as compared to the male. For example, agricultural census which was conducted, it was found for the same labor work in the agricultural field, women was paid 37.8% less as compared to the male laborer. Is that clear? ऐसा थोड़ी ना है कि तुम हार्ट सर्जन हो और तुम किडनी के सर्जन हो तो दोनों का रेम्यूनरेशन सेम होगा या डिफरेंट होगा, या फॉर दैट मैटर चलो हम नो मैटर यू बिकॉज यू रिटन नो मैटर द फील्ड ऑफ work. So you need to understand that it is not always on the basis of that. Let us suppose कि हम एक ही काम कर रहे हैं. Let us suppose we are teaching. Okay. हम टीचिंग प्रोफेशन लेते हैं, ठीक है. पहली चीज, अच्छा आई गॉट द पॉइंट. यू आर सेइंग नो मैटर द फील्ड ऑफ वर्क, दे आर परफॉर्मिंग द सेम वर्क बट डिस्पाइट दैट बेस्ड ऑन आउटकम, ठीक है. सो द सेकंड पॉइंट व्हिच आई एम आंसरिंग, लेट अस सपोज वी आर द टीचर्स, राइट. सो इन दिस फील्ड, द फील्ड ऑफ वर्क इज टीचिंग प्रोफेशन, ठीक है. आई एम टीचिंग यू सोसाइटी, देयर इज अनदर पर्सन हु इज टीचिंग यू, लेट अस से इकोनॉमिक्स, ठीक है. इकोनॉमिक्स इज मोर टेक्निकल सब्जेक्ट, राइट. सो इफ द पर्सन इज बीइंग रेम्यूनरेटेड मोर, डोंट थिंक दैट आई एम गिविंग यू द एग्जैक्ट एग्जांपल, बट आई एम जस्ट टेलिंग यू अ वेरी fictional example. So if the economics teacher is paid more as compared to the society teacher, so it is not on the basis of gender, right? It is on the basis of the technicality of the work that they are doing. It is also on the basis of, let us suppose you have two society teachers, right? And one is a male and another is a female. So now the remuneration is not only on the basis of you are teaching society. It would also be determined by the fact that what kind of acceptance that you have in the industry. And same goes in your official, formal education setup, even in your schools. Right, there would always be a difference how much remuneration is being paid to a maths teacher, or for that matter a physics teacher or bio teacher would obviously vary from other. So the point here is, the more technicality, the more performance is there, obviously it is going to determine. But in the job which is the problem of wage gap also occurs where these factors are not even taken into consideration. For example, your performance is not taken into consideration, your efficiency is not taken into consideration, your diligence is not taken into consideration. It is only that your gender is determining how much you are going to fetch. Why? Because women is always on the back foot, because she is not able to organize herself better. In fact, OECD का एक सर्वे आया था जिसने ये कहा था कि इन women की wage gap क्यों exist करती है, और why women is being paid less wage as compared to the male counterpart is because of lack of ability of women as a group to organize themselves and to bargain for themselves. Is that very clear? They have less bargaining, धनिया मिर्चा वाला bargaining नहीं, negotiation. So they have less ability to negotiate their wages, and that is why one of the reason that they are suffering from low wage. So wage gap is existing in that context, then it is wrong. अगर आप performance, efficiency, diligence, technicality, area of expertise ये सब ले रहे हो तो wage gap कैसे? वो तो बहुत natural है जैसा आप लिख रहे हो. That is pretty natural, right? But when you are not taking into these factors into consideration कंपटीशन एंड जस्ट ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ कि कौन कितना नेगोशिएट कर पाता है या कौन कितना बार्गेन कर पाता है, या आप ये ऑब्वियसली मान के चलते हो कि आप विमेन है, सेकेंडरी सेक्स है, सेकेंड क्लास सिटीजन का स्टेटस है, इनको कम पैसा दें? तो अब जैसे कंस्ट्रक्शन वर्कर है, कंस्ट्रक्शन वर्कर में अगर आप ये कह रहे हो कि यार विमेन लेबर है, ज्यादा किचकिच नहीं कर पाएगी, ऑर्गेनाइज नहीं कर पाएगी, बार्गेन नहीं कर पाएगी, इसको 100 रुपए कम दे दो, ये वेज गैप है दैट वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट. इज दैट क्लियर? सो इफ यू आर टेकिंग इनटू डिफरेंट कंसिडरेशंस देन नहीं. इज दैट क्लियर? आई होप आई अंडरस्टूड योर क्वेश्चन करेक्टली. हम सबरीमाला का इशू अलग से डिस्कस करेंगे, ठीक है? और किसी का कोई क्वेश्चन रह गया? इतना सब आ गया, मुझे दिख ही नहीं रहा है. अरे लक्ष्य, कास्ट का सोशल कैरेक्टर चेंज हो गया ना. अब देखो, प्योरिटी एंड पोल्यूशन इतना थोड़ी ना है. अब आप दिल्ली, बॉम्बे, जहां मेट्रो सिटीज, मैंने एग्जांपल दिया था ना, यू आर ट्रैवलिंग इन पब्लिक ट्रांसपोर्ट, डू यू मेंटेन दैट सेपरेशन ऑफ कॉन्टैक्ट? यू डोंट इवन केयर अबाउट द कास्ट ऑफ द अदर पर्सन. खुद को जगह चाहिए, दैट इज मोर इंपॉर्टेंट. ऑफिशियली क्लास इज ओवर, आई एम ओनली आंसरिंग द क्वेश्चंस. सो आई टेक क्वेश्चन वन बाय वन, एक एक करके लिखो यार. लक्ष्य का क्वेश्चन है कि कैसे एग्जाम्पल देना है मुझे. तो कास्ट का सोशल कैरेक्टर चेंज हो रहा है ना, मोड ऑफ ट्रांसपोर्ट, कम्युनिकेशन वगैरह में. इंटर डाइनिंग में कास्ट का कैरेक्टर चेंज हो रहा है. यू आर कंज्यूमिंग फूड विद पीपल ऑफ अदर कास्ट, ठीक है ना? सो दैट इज अंडरगोइंग अ चेंज. देन हायरार्की इन द सोसाइटी इज नॉट ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ प्योरिटी एंड पोल्यूशन, ठीक है? इनफैक्ट पीपल बिलोंगिंग टू लोअर कास्ट, फाइन, अनटचेबिलिटी स्टिल परसिस्टिंग, दैट इज अनदर साइड ऑफ द स्टोरी. बट पीपल बिलोंगिंग टू लोअर कास्ट, ऐसा तो है नहीं कि वो आईएएस नहीं बन पा रहे हैं, या वो गवर्नमेंट सर्विसेज, या वो हायर एजुकेशन, या वो प्राइवेट सेक्टर में काम नहीं कर रहे हैं. इट इज नॉट नेसेसरी दैट एवरी दलित इज वर्किंग इन द मीनियल जॉब, ऐसा तो बिल्कुल नहीं हो रहा है. तो कास्ट बेस्ड ऑक्यूपेशनल डिविजन ऑफ लेबर अपना कैरेक्टर चेंज कर रहा है ना. So with respect to education, with respect to job, with respect to commensality, with respect to separation of contact, it is undergoing a change. ऐसा तो नहीं है कि intercaste marriages हो नहीं रही, कम हो रही हैं, but हो तो रही है ना, ठीक है? So social character is undergoing a change, but political relevance तो दिख ही रही है. Politicization, reservation क्या है? Now it is an example of politicization of caste. अच्छा, तुम मुझे वोट दो, मैं तुमको भी reservation दूंगा, ऐसे ही तो चलता है आजकल, ठीक है ना? So basically politicization of caste, casteization of politics, this is nothing but increase relevance of caste in the political scenario. हाँ, okay, Anshul. Ma'am, if I give example, when I said to my father that if I can elect the election, you meant to say you can contest for the election for Sarpanch. They simply opposed that and said this work is not for you. But I can't understand, ma'am, what type of patriarch is this? मतलब what type of patriarch is this? मतलब सी, डिपेंड करता है बच्चे. कभी कभी ऐसा नहीं होता कि आपके अगर पेरेंट्स कह रहे हैं कि ये मत करो, तो वो इसलिए कह रहे हैं क्योंकि दे वांट टू इम्पोज देयर वैल्यू सिस्टम. मे बी सी, दिस इज अ पर्सनल क्वेश्चन दैट यू आर आस्किंग, दैट इज व्हाई आई एम आस्किंग, आंसरिंग द क्वेश्चन ऑन अ पर्सनल लेवल. अंशुल, बच्चे ये डिपेंड करता है कि वो क्यों बोल रहे हैं. कभी कभी क्या होता है, आवर पेरेंट्स नो अस वेल, मे बी वी डोंट नो व्हाट आर आवर स्ट्रेंथ्स एंड वीकनेसेस, एंड इट माइट हैपन दैट दे कैन टेल अस बेटर दैट लुक, दिस फील्ड माइट नॉट बी सूटेबल फॉर यू. Maybe you are not having that courage to deal with the ground level work. Maybe. Are you getting the point? So it depends in what context your father has told you not to contest for the election. I think you meant contest only, क्योंकि elect वो वाला चीज मुझे समझ नहीं आया. I'm hoping this is for contesting for the election of Sarpanch. So the thing is that maybe कि this is the reason. But if the reason is that he believes that girls should not go outside, should not work, or should not have that decision making authority, तब अलग बात हो सकती है. तो यहाँ पे ये डिपेंड करता है कि उन्होंने तुमसे ये बात क्यों बोली, ठीक है ना? इंटेंशन देखो. लेट्स नॉट जज ऑन द फेस वैल्यू, व्हाट वाज द इंटेंट. whether he's thinking that you would not be able to manage because he's seen you growing, हो सकता है कि personality, तो तुम you need to interact with your father and you need to ask that why did he say that this job is not meant for me, in what capacity. Even if he's saying that because he thinks that you are not capable enough, so just try to convince him that you do possess the capability. Just try to prove that you are capable. So let's not put patriarchy yahan par. Maybe he is saying as just in the capacity of being an elder, being a father, trying to give you the direction. Obviously that's totally your choice. इंडिविजुअल चॉइस को भी हमें रिस्पेक्ट करना है, बट देन इट डिपेंड्स, ठीक है ना. इसलिए पर्सनल लेवल का क्वेश्चन था, इसलिए मैं पर्सनल लेवल पे दे रही हूं आंसर. नहीं लक्ष्य, आप ऐसे नहीं लिखोगे एसपी सपा के लिए पॉलिटिकल पार्टी, मतलब किसी के लिए भी, ये मैं आपको बता रही थी. आप लिखोगे दैट नाउ द पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज irrespective of their caste base, they are trying to stitch alliances with the smaller caste groups in order to strengthen their vote bank. Polished way में हम लिखेंगे, ठीक है. How is sexuality of women linked to purity of caste? बच्चे premarital sex, ठीक है. कास्ट एंडोगेमी, रिमेंबर अ मेल ऑफ अपर कास्ट कैन मैरी अ फीमेल ऑफ लोअर कास्ट, बट अ फीमेल ऑफ अपर कास्ट कैन नॉट मैरी अ मेल. सेक्सुअलिटी से मतलब होता है योर कंट्रोल ओवर योर सेक्सुअल डिजायर्स, राइट. whom to marry, when to marry, whether to go for premarital sex or after that, ठीक है. then control over your reproductive life. So it is related to purity of caste. Why? Because it is perceived. For example, in Manusmriti it is written that women by very nature is disloyal. So in order to ensure loyalty from women, you need to control her sexuality and mobility. That is written. Now the upper caste people, one of the attribute of purity is to abide by the religious scriptures. So if one of the dharma shastras is Manusmriti, right? So if in Manusmriti it has written something, you are abiding by that in order to protect the purity of your caste. ठीक है. और कुछ रह गया या मैंने आंसर कर दिया? नहीं, आयुषी ओरिजिनल डेफिनेशन में इकोनॉमिकली नहीं था, ठीक है. सो वी विल नॉट इनकॉर्पोरेट दैट इन द डेफिनेशन. लेटर ऑब्वियसली ईडब्ल्यूएस हैज बीन इनकॉर्पोरेटेड. every which way, every which way. When we say that stereotype consist women as weak, so in every which way, physically, mentally, emotionally, हर तरह से. Have I answered everyone's question? Can I conclude the lecture? अखिलेश, ब्रेनस्टॉर्मिंग सिखा दो. इन जनरल अगर मुझे ब्रेनस्टॉर्मिंग सिखानी हो तो मैं कैसे सिखाऊं? एक दिन में तो नहीं कर पाएंगे, बट एक सिंस यू आस्क्ड तो एक आइडिया दे देती हूँ. मतलब मैं ब्रेनस्टॉर्म कैसे करती हूँ, चलो अच्छा ये देखते हैं. जैसे इस बार एक क्वेश्चन आया था, गिग इकोनॉमी लीडिंग टू वुमेन एम्पावरमेंट, सपोज करो. तो मैंने ब्रेनस्टॉर्म कैसे किया? मैंने ये सोचा कि पहली बात तो गिग इकोनॉमी होती क्या है, ठीक है ना. दूसरा मैंने पढ़ा कि गिग इकोनॉमी के एग्जाम्पल्स क्या हैं, ठीक है. फिर मैंने समझने की कोशिश करी व्हाट इज विमेन एम्पावरमेंट. देन आई थॉट कि आर देयर एनी डायमेंशंस ऑफ विमेन एम्पावरमेंट. देन आई ट्राइड टू रिलेट दैट इज गिग इकोनॉमी लीडिंग टू विमेन एम्पावरमेंट. इफ यस देन हाउ, एंड इफ नॉट देन व्हाई. ठीक है ना. एंड इफ नॉट देन व्हाई, तो दैट मीन्स there are certain counter arguments, and since you being the administrator, you need to brainstorm that what should I do in order to address the negative aspect of gig economy with respect to women empowerment. एक ऐसी एग्जाम्पल ध्यान आगे से. मेरा कहने का मतलब है जब हम ब्रेनस्टॉर्म करते हैं, हम ऐसे में भी ऐसे ही करते हैं, हम जीएस में भी वील डू द सेम वे. ट्राई टू आस्क योर सेल्फ क्वेश्चंस विच एवर टॉपिक यू आर स्टडिंग. इट डजेंट मैटर, हिस्ट्री है, पॉलिटी है, बस हिस्ट्री में वे फॉरवर्ड ही तो नहीं होगा, ठीक है ना. पर पॉलिटी है, इकोनॉमी है, तो ब्रेनस्टॉर्मिंग जो एनालिटिकल इश्यूज होते हैं वहीं तो ब्रेनस्टॉर्म करोगे ना, फैक्ट में तो करोगे नहीं. तो ट्राई टू क्रिएट क्वेश्चंस रिलेटेड टू दैट एस्पेक्ट ऑन विच यू आर डूइंग द ब्रेनस्टॉर्मिंग. ठीक है. जस्ट स्पीकर ही ले लो यार, वो तो बिल्कुल तुम कहोगे इसमें क्या. हु इज अ स्पीकर? व्हाट इज द प्रोसेस ऑफ इलेक्शन ऑफ स्पीकर? what are the powers and functions of a speaker, are there any क्या कहते हैं exceptions with respect to how the speaker can be removed, from where the speaker is chosen, which party does he belong to. Are you getting the point? What are the discretionary powers of speaker? मैं जनरली एक बात कह रही हूं. सो द काइंड इज दैट जो भी टॉपिक हो, चाहे लिंकेज वाला टॉपिक हो चाहे सेपरेट टॉपिक हो, ट्राई टू क्रिएट क्वेश्चंस. And ऐसा नहीं होगा for every question you will get an answer. But when you create those 6-7 questions, you at least get those broad 6-7 perspectives on which you can think. अभी क्या होगा, रैंडमली सोचोगे बैठकर, एक पावर याद आ गई यहां से, एक कोई फंक्शन याद आ गया, एक कोई प्रोसेस याद आ गया, एक कोई एलिजिबिलिटी क्राइटेरिया याद आ गया, तो कितना बिखरा बिखरा, कितना स्कैटर्ड प्रेपरेशन हो जाएगी. लेकिन अगर ब्रॉड पैरामीटर्स डिसाइड कर लोगे बेस्ड ऑन विच यू आर गोइंग टू अप्रोच द क्वेश्चन या टॉपिक या जो भी, सो एटलीस्ट फिर तुमने जैसे सोचा पावर, तो नाउ यू विल थिंक एंड एटलीस्ट थिंक ऑफ 2-3 पावर्स एट वन पॉइंट. If you're talking about eligibility criteria, you will think of at least 2-3 जो भी eligibility criteria, then you will write it. वही कहने का मतलब है, ठीक है ना. सो ऐसा तो नहीं होगा कि एक बार में आ जाएगा, बट धीरे धीरे आ जाएगा. करने की कोशिश करो, ट्राई डूइंग इट. ठीक है, ट्राई डूइंग इट while you are answering any question, not only society, just forget about society, whatever other subject that you are studying, economics, polity, security, जो भी पढ़ रहे हो, IR, just try to brainstorm. IR में पढ़ते हैं कि सॉफ्ट पावर, कल मुझे शायद मनीष ही बोल रहा था ये बात, है मनीष, यू वर सेइंग ना कि सॉफ्ट पावर हमने IR में पढ़ा है, दैट हाउ स्मार्ट पावर इज कॉम्बिनेशन ऑफ सॉफ्ट पावर एंड द हार्ड पावर. तो देखो, व्हाट इज सॉफ्ट पावर, हु गेव द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ सॉफ्ट पावर, व्हाट इज हार्ड पावर, व्हाट आर द एग्जांपल्स वेयर यू कैन विटनेस सॉफ्ट पावर, वेयर यू कैन विटनेस हार्ड पावर, व्हाट डू यू मीन बाय कॉम्बिनेशन of soft and hard power, what do you mean by smart power, what is the current context में example with respect to smart power, in what all aspects smart power can be witnessed, right? Give examples, what needs to be done so as to develop that smart power. Brainstorming. Is this clear? Clear है? अब रह गया सब या कुछ और भी आ गया है? रुको 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 एक सेकेंड. You just need to start writing essay. Don't start writing essay in 1200 words. Start with 500, 600 words and slowly and gradually try to increase. That will depend, बच्चे, how much content you have. क्योंकि देखो, इंट्रोडक्शन 100-150 वर्ड का, कंक्लूजन 700-800 वर्ड की बॉडी, तो इतना कोई भारी काम नहीं है. 700-800 ही वर्ड लिखने हैं, वो 1200 बड़े दिख रहे हैं. यू जस्ट, so sorry for the Hindi, you just have to write 700-800 words because 150 words is introduction, 150 words is your conclusion, so somewhere around about 700-800 words is supposed to be written, right? So don't take it as a challenge of 1200 words, and it is not a hard and fast rule. You can in fact write a good essay in 1000 words as well, ठीक है ना. So just don't be concerned more about the word limit, be concerned more about the content. Slowly and gradually, when your ambit of content will increase, your content of essay automatically will increase. So you don't need to worry about it. Focus more on quality. Quantity will automatically come. ठीक है, बस बंद करें अब. नहीं अभिषेक, नहीं नहीं नहीं. But online platform is one of the means to provide access to the gig workers. ठीक है, ठीक. So let me conclude the lecture now. So we will conclude the lecture, and I think I'll meet you day after tomorrow. Try answering these questions. If you have any further doubt, please ask me. Good night, people.